Should we hop in?
Is it Oscar time?
Oh God.
I mean, why not? This is Caleb's brilliant idea that he brought to us this week, and he's created such a wonderful spreadsheet for us to use for these purposes. We'll be giving out Sofia Coppola's Oscars awards based off of her 7 feature films. I don't know. Have you guys seen the short film? I haven't seen it.
Nope.
I haven't seen The Beguiled, the short film, or the Bill Murray Christmas special.
Oh, I haven't seen the Bill Murray Christmas special
Nah.
either. Shit.
Short film and Bill Murray are out of this. Features only.
But we'll be going through the typical Oscar categories, at least the ones that would apply to a specific filmography, and talking about who we would give the awards to. I think what we decided is we'll be giving a top 3 for each one, ranked 1, 2, 3, and deciding on a winner based off of our ranked choice voting to bring some politics into this. That's a thing, right? I don't know. Not a politics guy. Let's jump into this. Do you want to start with Best Supporting Actor, like the Oscars do?
Yeah, I think I have it in somewhat the order that they normally do. So
who would be coming out right now to present this? Who won the Oscar last time? Last year?
Who did? I don't remember.
Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is announcing our Sofia Coppola Oscars for best. Thank you, Mr. Pitt. The stage is yours.
This is an interesting category because I think it's an objective truth. Jason Schwartzman, he gets it right. He has to in Marie Antoinette as King Louis the 16th, right? Is it 16th or 15th? He's the 16th.
Yeah, he's the 16th, and 16th. I think I agree. We can save some time. He's going to be my number 1 too. I'll put the number 1 in the spreadsheet just to make things easier. Or 3, yeah.
Yeah, but award it as though you're giving you were awarding 3 points.
Right. I don't know. Alicia, do you want to make it a sweep? Is it that easy?
I'm between him and James Woods actually.
Interesting. He would not have made my top 3. Talk on that.
I just think we don't have to talk about James Woods as a person.
I'd rather not, yeah.
I mean, first of all, you guys have, I believe someone in the group chat mentioned my love for the Virgin Suicides. I love that movie. I believe it's my favorite Sofia Coppola movie.
Don't spoilers. Jeez.
I'm sorry, but
I guess I just tweeted mine today. But
yeah, right. I think he's really great in that. He balances him and Kathleen Turner both, spoilers, because obviously their characters, they're trapping their children into this kind of emotional and mental prison, and physical prison is what it becomes, but they could so easily play those characters in a really hammy sort of sinister way, but his character in particular has this almost endearing eccentricity in certain scenes where he's a bit of the bumbling teacher who has a love for learning and teaching and talking to people in a very dad way, but at the same time his actions drive his daughters to suicide. Non-spoiler of the decade, but guys, I think I'm gonna go with James Woods for number 1. Sorry.
Okay, all right,
That's
we'll
fine.
take it.
See,
majority rules, so we still win. I'm pretty sure.
He's my number 2, Jason. But
yeah, that's fair. Honestly, no hate to James. Well, okay, hate to James Woods, but despite that, I don't think it would even be considering his personal life to say my favorite. I don't even know the actor's name, so apologies. But whoever plays young Trip Fontaine is my supporting actor from Virgin Suicides, because man, is that a killer performance.
Josh Hartnett. Okay, he is one of my favorite kind of washed up heartthrobs, 90s heartthrobs. I love him so much. He just he pops up in random things, like Pearl Harbor and whatever. And he's also really great in The Faculty. If you're looking for a campy Halloween movie, The Faculty is the one. The cast is stacked. It has him, baby Elijah Wood, baby Jordana Brewster, Clea Duvall, Jon Stewart, Salma Hayek, and a bunch of other people. It's insane. It's about a school who it's Invasion of the Body Snatchers in high school.
Okay. You've sold me. That's one of my favorite movies ever.
It's amazing. But why are we talking about this? Oh yeah, I love Josh Hartnett, and I was watching the like Virgin Suicides reunion roundtable the other day, which I would recommend. It's a very like soothing. Everyone's just like very chill and being like, yeah, it was a dream to work on this. I remember you like running around the halls in your little glitter boots, and like I remember us like doing each other's hair. Like it sounds like the experience of making the movie was just as like ethereal as the movie ended up being. But he seems like the type of, you know, when you're like a heartthrob when you're younger and then you like grow up. I'm saying this like I've experienced it. But like if you don't go down the like substance abuse rabbit hole, you know, like I feel like there's certain ones who end up having like built a lot of character and being like very down to earth sort of guys, and I feel like he's one of them. I appreciate him.
The only
Brooke, did you have any calls on the films that you've seen in terms of supporting actors?
well, I saw Marie Antoinette and I saw On the Rocks. So
What'd you think of Jason Schwartzman?
Yeah,
Louis
come
the
on, Jason
16th.
Schwartzman, great.
Cutie.
amazing. He conveyed a lot of weird emotion in his eyes and eyebrows.
Yes, he did.
Which I honestly don't know that much about him. Is that like his thing? I don't know. He did a good job.
Kind of. Yeah, I guess kind of.
The
He's also her cousin, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
that family.
the
Nick
Coppola.
Cage, his brother, the guy in Rooney, and Princess Diaries. Yeah.
Yeah, and Schwartzman's mom is somebody too.
Phantom Planet.
The Woody Allen lady.
Yeah.
The line of Jason Schwartzman when they're in bed for like the first or second time, and she's like, "So you like making keys?"
Oh my god.
And he's like, "Yeah." Like that whole interaction had me dying. I was so in on that film from that point
For me,
forward.
it's like the part where he like kind of squeaks or giggles when they're like in bed together, you know?
Your feet are like icicles.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like when they finally have sex and the way that he walks to the bed is like he like shuffles over with his like
his little nightgown.
rod. We love it.
Jason
Yeah, I
Schwartzman,
imagine
best supporting actor.
This will not be the last of our Marie Antoinette talk, I bet. So let's bring out Miss Laura Dern. Is she Dame Laura Dern? Did she get knighted? I don't know. Whatever. Best supporting actress. This is not quite as easy for me. I mean, there are so many good choices here. I think, like, for something like this, it might be best just to go backwards from bottom to top. I've got my top three ready if you want me to fire them off. And then while you guys formulate your I know this is just some tough decisions here for you guys. I don't want to rush you anyway. But third place for me would be Anna Faris in Lost in Translation, giving the best Cameron Diaz impression you will ever see put to screen. In second place, Elle Fanning in The Beguiled, because category fraud won't let me vote for Elle Fanning for lead actress.
Okay, hold on, Arjun. Hold on. Because I will have you know that when Somewhere competed for the 2011 Oscars, they submitted Elle Fanning as Best Supporting Actress officially to the Oscars.
Well, I don't know. This wouldn't be the first time I had problems with the Academy Awards / whatever. Who made Somewhere? Is it A24? I don't want to have beef with them. They're cool. But my number one is Rose Byrne in Marie Antoinette, which I just think is a wonderful performance. My first introduction to Rose Byrne. I mean, that movie is my first introduction to so many people. Like the little Tom Hardy spot we get in that movie, like, oh my God. But I think Rose Byrne is just wonderful. I'm sure she will not win because I don't know what kind of love she's going to get otherwise, but that's my pick.
Well, Arjun, I have news for you.
My heart.
I also am like, I will stand Rose Byrne in like any way, shape, or form in literally anything she's in. I feel like she's so underrated. I am also gonna, okay, we'll go from bottom to top. Okay, so I didn't realize the Elle Fanning thing. Okay, if we're putting her in supporting, I am putting Elle Fanning at number 3.
For Somewhere, to be clear, not
Somewhere.
Beguiled. Okay.
For Somewhere. I still have not seen The Beguiled, and I haven't seen Somewhere in several years, but I mean, I feel like that performance sticks with you. It's just so like
she's 12 and it's crazy.
I mean, she's just like a little like fairy, and like, you know, part of that is just because she was like born like that, but like she just has this like such a pure spirit that like makes that movie and like lights it up. So I'll go with her. And then number 2, Kathleen Turner in The Virgin Suicides, for pretty much the same reasons I said James Wood. She turns that character into a real person who genuinely does love her kids. She just really loves them in the wrong way. And then at number 1, Rose Byrne in Marie Antoinette. Because I mean, like, that movie would be very different without her. I mean, I'm sure it would still be amazing because it is amazing, but like, she is made for that. I just want to see her like eat like whipped cream, like hors d'oeuvre type things, and like play cards and like spill champagne all day. So yeah.
I was outvoted in this. It's too late. The numbers have already come in. We know that Rose Byrne has won Best Supporting Actress in our Sophia in the Sophias.
The Sophias.
The Sophia for Best Supporting Actress.
I also like the idea of whenever we do this next, like for the Fincher Oscars or whatever it's gonna be Rose Byrne coming out to present Best Supporting Actress
True. You know, I can't. Rose Byrne did not stand out as much to me as she stood out to you guys. I think it's a great performance. I would go with Elle Fanning as Somewhere is my top choice, just because I think her performance as Stephen Dorff's Wayward's character's daughter. My brain is not working tonight. Really gave the film heart that it desperately needed, and is the something that Stephen Dorff feels like he's not. And so I really liked that performance. I'm gonna put Katie Chang as the Bling Ring as my number 2. I think her particular brand of like empty narcissism in that film is particularly affecting to me. And then Jenny Slate on the Rocks because she was so funny.
Good pick. Yeah, I think like in the same way Marie Antoinette is a lot about staring into mirrors, Katie Chang in The Bling Ring is so good at all of the staring into webcams and staring at phones, which is like such an updated version of that sort of vanity in Marie Antoinette, and she absolutely kills it. And so does the actor. So sorry to leave him off. Or is he in lead? Maybe we'll come back to him. But yeah, she's great. I really like that pick.
All right, best screenplay.
Any more takes? Yeah, bring Bong out.
Oh yes.
Oh my god, this is so tough. I mean, I gotta say, like, I love the Bling Ring script a lot, but the Vanity Fair essay that it is based on is one of my favorite pieces of writing ever. It's called The Suspects Wore Louboutins. It's Nancy Jo Sales, and I mean, I'm a Nancy Jo Sales stan. It should be no surprise. Like, I consider myself one of the foremost experts on the Pussy Posse ever.
I love it.
Like, I love the Bling Ring script so much. It's just so hard to put it above that for me because I like the actual thing that it was based on more. Okay, this is just me, like, vamping because I don't have any good picks. I'm sorry. Someone else take the floor.
I think Lost in Translation is a clear number 1 for me. I agree with the Academy. I think it's the best screenplay that she's written. I think everything about it strikes such a real tone to me, and maybe I'm bringing my own like experiences into it of like I saw like I was in China in the summer of 2019, and obviously China's not Japan, but being like lost in a foreign country and then meeting one other person that you like connect to and then you can experience things with, while mine wasn't romantic like that, or like even the idea of romantic, that like friendship, that like specific kind of friendship, was so like just on the money in that screenplay that I have to give it to it. Although the stereotyping and the making fun of the Japanese people in that movie might actually, now that I think about it, bump it down for me, because that
Yeah,
is
I mean,
that
that's
is
the reasoning for me. Well, it's
it
just
was
tough.
it's
It's
like a
like,
perfect film otherwise.
I don't think it's a racist movie, but the way that it sort of uses those stereotypes as a crutch comedically, I
Yeah.
just think is frustrating. And you could see it's just so contrived. And I mean, she's grown so much as a screenwriter, so I don't want to hold it too much against her. But that is kind of what's always held me back. And I don't know. It's a very Academy pick. What were you going to say, Alicia? I didn't mean to step on your toes there.
Oh, no, you didn't. Yeah, I agree. This was also what came to mind for me for screenplay, but then I thought about, yeah, all the racial issues I have with it, and I was like, do I find these just offensive or like bad writing or both? You know what I mean? Like, because inherently, if it's like, yeah, leaning on stereotypes and like for humor, then that is lazy writing. But like, it's hard because if some of those jokes were played differently,
Right.
so that they were less so at the expense of the Japanese population and more so to kind of make a point, which like I wish it were making so badly, but I genuinely don't believe it is, then things would be different. But like, so I really struggled with screenplay. I don't really know if I have an answer, actually, to be honest. Like, I want to go with that because I want to spread my answers out because I kind of want to give
Yeah.
everything to Virgin Suicide.
Well, that might be a little bit of a deciding factor. I mean, we've got a tight race here. I had as my number 3 Virgin Suicides, my number 2 The Beguiled, which, I mean, we talked earlier about the racial implications that screenplay has, but in a lot of ways, I think it is her best piece of feminist fiction that she's written. I mean, the adaptation of that film, especially considered, I mean, going off of what the big picture said a lot and kind of how I revisited parts of Clint Eastwood's adaptation of The Beguiled earlier this week. I mean, it's just a fantastic piece of adaptation, I think. And I think in a lot of ways, the precursor to what Greta Gerwig did this past year with Little Women. And that's my number 2. I think it's a brilliant piece of writing. And then number 1, I gave it to The Bling Ring anyway. Sorry, Nancy.
Yeah, and it's also hard because with the Virgin Suicides, I love it a lot, but I don't know whether to give screenplay to it because like a lot of what I love was like heavily like was triggered by the book. So you know what? Maybe I don't even love Lost in Translation that much, but I might give it to Lost in Translation. Like
We have a winner.
wait, I want to talk about that movie for like a second more. I'm so sorry.
Please.
But,
this is what this is for.
I rewatched it 2 nights ago. And the last time I'd watched it was, probably at some point in high school. And it was one of those movies that like really I was like, my life would be good if I could make a movie like this. Do you know what I mean? And I used to think like this is, yeah, the perfect like evocation of loneliness and melancholy and like prolonged kind of thoughtful sadness. But this time my reaction was kind of like, okay, they're staring out windows. And then like the opening shot I used to defend because I was like, oh, it's an extension of that sense of melancholy and like kind of the image of like and the feel of like the slopes of her body and like resting on her bed and like kind of moving a little with her breath. I felt like was such a clever like way to kind of evoke this sense of like heaviness and softness of her current state and her character and like the way that she feels alone but also kind of relaxed and like ponderous. But then this time around I was like, okay, why do the panties have to be see-through? Like and why is she so obsessed with soft pretty blonde pale women? And like I have never been cold and put on just a sweater and not put on any pants. Like I don't know of any woman who like has ever done that or will ever do that. And it's so clearly for like the like aesthetics and potentially to cater to the male gaze. But like, it just, oh, did Brooke just
Hi, Brooke.
oh no.
I'll try to contact her. You keep vamping.
Okay. But like I have a contentious relationship with that film, and I think it does do a good job of like two people who are lost in their lives and in their current like culture and find each other in that sea of confusion. But at the same time, it doesn't make enough of a point about the like ethnocentricity of it all to me. Not that I'm saying that all film has to, I'm not like um gonna bring Todd Phillips into this, but like I'm not trying to be that type of person where it's like you have to say what you mean, because the audience needs credit and like the art needs to be art. But I just don't really trust her in that era. Like I think maybe I trust her now. But I think I'll bite the bullet and give it to Lost in Translation.
Well,
What would be your
what
number
are
two?
your
This
2
actually
and
matters.
3? Because
My 2
with
and
the
3.
weighted voting that we have going on,
Yes.
it could affect it.
Okay, so I think I am gonna give 2 to Virgin Suicides.
Okay.
And 3 to Marie Antoinette. Actually, Bling Ring.
Wow! Oh my God!
We have a tie.
Yeah.
You would have made things so much easier if you
I'm
would have
sorry.
stuck with. No, it's fine.
I'm getting so stressed out.
We'll call it a tie. I like a tie because I think the Bling Ring is deserving of all that love. And just to defend my girl Sophia a little bit, I see what you're saying, especially about that sort of, whatever she is trying to do with the male gaze in Lost in Translation. But I also think sometimes as a filmmaker, and film is so much about beauty and playing with these ideas of beauty, I do think there is a certain benefit to just doing something because it looks amazing. And a lot of that movie looks amazing. And I think that's what has always
butt looks amazing. Yeah.
Well, not specifically that, but like I just think that is like her. I mean, we'll get to it when we get to director, I guess. But just like the way that she films everything, those scenes in the bars, those scenes of the skylines, it is just so sleek and slender. And I just love the way that movie looks.
Scarlett Johansson appreciate pretty in
that movie also, yeah.
I appreciate like her kind of like unabashed love for aesthetics, and because I think I do have a discomfort with like indulgence and like beauty for the sake of beauty. Like if I'm not, or the art that I'm consuming is not like critiquing that at the same time it's doing it, I think I inherently get a little uncomfortable. But there are other times that I just totally buy into it. But I like that she goes for it.
And this is why. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the presenting just austere beauty and critiquing that's the entirety of Marie Antoinette for me. Yes. And why that film is so great. So yeah. I do see where you're coming from there.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm glad you stepped on my toes to say it, because like I mean like it is exactly that sort of thing that she is trying to do in Lost in Translation, but she does it in a much more repressed and maybe even modern way. That is just, oh man, that movie is just so delectable. Like I want to eat every frame of that movie. And like, oh my God, I mean, she might do a better job of framing and making Kirsten Dunst look beautiful in that movie without the sort of explicit sort of tropey typical sexuality that you see in Lost in Translation. So I mean, she matures so much as a filmmaker, I think. Man, I just want to watch Marie Antoinette now.
I know. That is a comfort movie for me.
Good film.
Should we move on?
Maybe speaking of Marie Antoinette, production design, best production design. I want to just say it's Marie Antoinette. That's just, they filmed it at Versailles. Give it to him.
Yeah.
And I mean the cake in that movie, the confectionery in general, just like a tremendous food movie. Like maybe one of the best all time.
Truly. Yeah. There's no question here.
We're just Marie Antoinette. That's it. That's all we need.
The next one I feel like is even less of a question. Yeah. Costume design and makeup.
Marie Antoinette.
What won the Oscar in 2007 for makeup and costume design?
No.
Like how could it not have been that movie? I don't know.
Well, because wasn't there a lot of backlash to Marie Antoinette? Like, wasn't that?
Yes.
Well, people hated the anachronistic stuff and like the fact that it was a teen movie because she's a teenager. Like,
Yeah, and I
feel
mean, it
strongly
premiered
about
at
that.
Cannes. I think this was also from that podcast, and the French do not
Yeah.
look super great in Marie Antoinette.
Yeah.
So,
What
it won costume design that year. Thank God.
I mean, the Academy is a bitch for period pieces. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a great bit to talk about the French Revolution from the perspective of like the people who caused the French Revolution, like like the evil like folks. What a, I guess not even a bit, just a stroke of brilliance to like, we're gonna give you the perspective of like this opulent queen, and we're gonna make you care about her because she has wants, she has needs, like.
Yeah, but I mean, to release it in France is a
No,
bit.
that's a great
and
bit.
It's
That's
great.
that's a
Yeah.
But Caleb, like in relation to what you said, I think that, I mean, yeah, I love that movie because it lets her be a girl, which she was, and is about the kind of falling into the trap of excess and all that. But like at the same time, Sophia, like on the big picture, they were talking about how Sophia tends to focus on like subjects that a lot of other people might find vapid or uninteresting or I guess superficial, and humanizes them so effectively. And I mean that's like the number one example for sure.
Yeah. I do want to point out Marie Antoinette has won every award except for best screenplay. So
okay.
Which
was a tie.
But we're moving right along. Best sound. Do y'all have any? I'm not a sound expert, so I don't know that I have any particular.
Did they change this category at the Oscars from 2 separate categories to 1?
Yes. So that's yeah. I figured we weren't going to get into the nitty gritty of sound mixing and sound editing.
Well, since we don't have a best soundtrack category, I'm just going to go ahead and give this to Marie Antoinette, which has like one of my favorite original soundtracks ever.
Wait, if we're going off soundtrack, this changes everything.
Okay, best soundtrack. Yeah, sure. Best soundtrack.
It's one big. I don't know. All of her movies have such great soundtracks. It's really just a catch-22. There's no right answer here. What were you going to say, Alicia?
Yeah, Marie Antoinette takes the cake there. And number 2, I mean, I love all of the air tracks in Virgin Suicide so much. I'm so sorry. I cannot stop talking about this movie. But that's gonna be my number 2. And number 3, like I kind of want to go with the Bling Ring as an underdog because.
Well, we both put it as our number 2, so no underdogs here.
I mean, but Lost in Translation has such beautiful,
it does.
like, I mean, it's, but the Bling Ring, like, while it's less kind of emotionally affecting, it's like very thematically effective and like.
I mean, that Sleigh Bells song.
I'll go with the Bling Ring for number 3. Yeah.
The Sleigh Bells song that plays during the intro is so good. And it's like going over the cases of shoes in Paris Hilton's house. I just want to die. It's so good.
Yeah.
That whole album. Marie Antoinette your one, Alicia? I forget.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. It's Marie Antoinette wins best soundtrack again. This is a Marie Antoinette podcast. Moving right along, best cinematography. They all, so this is such an interesting category to me because I didn't think that Sofia Coppola had like a very explicit like style, quote unquote, like as you could watch like a Tarantino movie without knowing it's a Tarantino movie and being like, that's a Tarantino movie, or like a Kubrick, or like, one of those people, or a Wes Anderson, especially someone with like extremely distinct stylistic flourishes. But that's almost like her charm for me because she has like formal elements that trace their way through her filmography. She loves doing her like Kubrick-esque zooms of like character looking forlornly out into the distance, and it's just gonna zoom on back and give you like kind of engulf that character in empty space. And she's obviously obsessed with like loneliness in all of her films, so that works. I was vamping while Arjun was putting in his things. But yeah, a lot of these films have some great cinematography, and I don't know if she works with a consistent cinematographer. I would have to look
Did on
at
her
that.
early films. I think a lot of them are the same guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh, I forgot to say something about so Bill Murray's wife on the phone in Lost in Translation, I learned, is the costume designer for that film and potentially other Sofia films, I forget. It's a fun fact I learned.
That is a fun fact. Yeah, I think there could be arguments to be made for each of these films. They all have great aesthetics. They all have shots that stick in my mind. They usually have like a really great consistent color palette throughout. This one's tough.
I think
Yeah.
the ones, like, the decision for me personally came down, I mean, all of them are beautiful, like you're saying, but the ones I think that match the themes and the tone of her movie the best are Lost in Translation and Marie Antoinette. I mean, Marie Antoinette, obviously, like, I don't know if anybody has ever filmed just like pure excess to that scale, and she does it perfectly. I mean, but Lost in Translation, I mean, like you guys said so often during the past 20 minutes, just like the loneliness and the adriftness that she captures with the way that that movie looks, it's just perfect. Like, you could not match a movie's look and a movie's themes any better than that movie does. And that's despite not loving the script, I think the same way you guys might, or I mean, Alicia, you're a little bit more conflicted. Like, it really is the direction and the cinematography that draw me into that movie and make it stick in my mind the way it does.
Totally. I also, when I think of her cinematography in her movies, I don't think of like framing at all. Really, the first thing that comes to mind for me is light. Light is always the thing that makes my heart kind of like do things in her movies, like just like the way that light falls on characters' faces or like comes through trees, or like kind of golden hour shots. I'm thinking of specifically in Marie Antoinette and Virgin Suicides with like kind of dusk. Like, I mean, she's so good with dusk. I feel like that's like more so than like dawn. And I feel like Lost in Translation is always, kind of like I feel like Lost in Translation is a dawn movie, and then Virgin Suicides and Marie Antoinette are dusk movies. But I think at the top, yeah, Marie Antoinette, and then I want to go with Virgin Suicides at number 2, and then Lost in Translation at number 3, because with Virgin Suicides, the way that she uses the color palette and the way that the cinematographer kind of adds an air of dreaminess is the central like theme of the entire movie. Like putting these girls through the lens and filter of the gaze of the teen boys, and how it's this soft pink until the end, when it becomes this like very sickly green as they look back on like kind of the waste of like their youth. So yeah.
All right, well, we've got another tie. Awesome. Lost in Translation and Marie Antoinette. I mean, those
Can we just
are
give
both
it
great.
to? Can we just give it to Lost in Translation?
Break the streak a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Bling Ring my number 2 instead, and Marie Antoinette my number 1, and we're gonna change things up. Or Marie Antoinette.
Lost in Translation got 2 number 1 votes, so I think that probably is the tiebreaker anyway. You don't need to maneuver. We can give it to it without having too many hard feelings.
Lost in Translation, best cinematography.
For best editing, I'm willing to just give that to you, Caleb, and let you decide. You're the editor among us.
Interesting. I want to say Bling Ring. Because that let me talk about how this film hypnotized me, because I was like, I can't I'm trying hard to describe it, and it's very difficult for me to do that, because there was something that was just so transfixing, and I tried to capture it in my Letterboxd review, so I'm going to read that, because that had me trying to think and write it. All right. I don't know if I'll be able to really capture my thoughts properly, but this film was hypnotic to me. At its core, The Bling Ring is a heist crime thriller, but Sofia Coppola coded the plot with a paradoxical combination of intimacy and distance. I can't really describe it, but it felt very dreamlike while watching. The movie had echoes of sexy, smooth heist films, but then Sofia would pull back and force you to look at it from a distance and assess the action objectively. Shout out to the house shot. This push and pull really worked on me, and it lulled me into an almost trance-like viewing. Again, hard to describe. So I don't know if that makes sense at all, but the editing in particular really worked on me as a sort of push and pull. It was like it was like, we're gonna put you in these characters' lives, not give you much context, and just have you watch their, interactions, and then we're gonna cut to something that is kind of like a set piece and could be something from a heist film, but then we're going to cut away and we're going to show you this other part of this other character's lives. And it was almost like slice of lifey. I don't know, guys. Am I even making sense? There was something about this movie that like really just grabbed me, and I can't describe it.
It wasn't heist movies necessarily for me, but I wrote a lot of words about this last year, and I think it was really, for me, it felt like almost a response to the crime movies of the 80s and 90s. I mean, particularly with the way she uses music and modern music. It felt like almost like a response to Goodfellas or any one of Scorsese's gangster movies. Like, it's a very early 2010s capture lightning in a bottle sort of that moment crime movie that I feel like only could have happened within like a 4-year stretch. Like, it's before cell phones become totally, a part of our life, and smartphones in the way that they have completely enveloped us. And it's still after the sort of explosion of celebrity in the early 2000s. And it's in this kind of sweet spot that just never will exist anymore, and still manages to capture the sort of film history that is necessary in these kind of crime movies. And it's exactly that kind of, for lack of a better word, vibe that she's able to capture. And it kind of put me in a trance too. And it's like the way that she's able to work so well with film history. I mean, I think there's a reason why Quentin Tarantino is such a massive fan of Sofia Coppola. And I think they're similar filmmakers in a lot of ways, where they are obsessed with kind of messing with these narratives of film history and playing with the people that have come before them while making something that only they could have made. And I think Bling Ring is really the perfect, I mean, Marie Antoinette too, having a sort of Barry Lyndon lineage in it, but Bling Ring really, for me, is just kind of the quintessential Sofia Coppola revisionist and yet individualistic piece of work. And I love it so much.
They dated, Tarantino and Sofia Coppola?
No way.
That apparently they did, according to, I was trying to look up and see how the reception to Somewhere was. And Somewhere won the Venice Golden Lion, I think, and Tarantino was like head jury judge.
He was the
there.
juror, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
and he was accused of like, that's your ex-girlfriend, you're giving her favor. So that's my fun fact of the night.
Ouch.
But he is a fan of her. He does talk about her.
Yeah, I mean, like Inglourious Basterds steals the Marie Antoinette scene, like the card on the head scene. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I looked it up. Apparently, he's very embarrassed that he left Somewhere off of his top 20 films of the 2010s. Yeah. Weird. I don't know. Let's talk about something else. I don't want to think about that.
Editing.
I'm shook. I don't know where to go.
Any other thoughts on editing? I think Marie Antoinette's editing was fantastic. And the way it slowly devolves into the French Revolution. I think it does it in a really smart way. And the pacing of it in particular, of it being very funny at first, and slowly that funniness morphs into sadness for me, in a very like seamless way, where I ended up being very sad for her in her life. Obviously she was the queen and had everything that she could ever wanted, but there was an emptiness to her, and like connections that character really wanted to, that Marie Antoinette really wanted, and yearned for and didn't quite get. that I found to be very effective, particularly in the way that it was paced and edited. So that's my number 2. Bling Ring number 1, Marie Antoinette number 2 for me. Probably Somewhere number 1, even though I like resisted that editing while I watched it. It worked in the
Slow.
back end. Yeah, it's very slow.
I mean, she is so much more patient of a filmmaker, for better and for worse, I think, that she was when she made The Virgin Suicides, which, I don't know, she's evolved so much. It's so interesting to kind of see that evolution, kind of binging them over the past couple days.
Well, my number 1 is The Virgin Suicides, and I'm a little offended and surprised that it didn't get any love here, because it like the kind of like double exposure, like kind of graphic matchy sort of fadey things that it does are what make the, I mean, I keep saying this makes the movie and this makes the movie, but this does make the movie and so does everything else. But like the way that it kind of turns the movie into like the pages of a diary at certain points, or like a fairy tale, in kind of exploring the lives of the Lisbon sisters through the memories, specifically the memories of the boys in the neighborhood. I mean, I think like that is just like masterfully done. And then at number 2, I will put number 2 I'll give to The Bling Ring, because it is like, yeah, a very smart and stylish job at the same time, like kind of messy and like flashy in some way. Like it makes sense with the movie. And then number 3, I'm between Somewhere and Marie Antoinette, but I'll go with Somewhere. Because yeah, it's very, very patient, and like is what makes the movie special.
Yeah, I don't know nearly enough about editing at this point in my life to speak either way, but I think you might have a point with your Virgin Suicides comments, and I like that because, you know, thinking about my favorite Sofia Coppola moments, I think the only one that really explicitly has to do with editing is my favorite moment from the Virgin Suicides, which is Lux and Trip Fontaine after prom night laying in the field, in the football field, and that sort of 30-second, you know, little short vignette that plays out, which I just think is perfect. And that is just completely attributed to masterful editing from Sofia, I think. So yeah, I like that pick a lot.
The not complete ending, but the like near the end of that film as well, like when the boys find the girls right after they've killed themselves, like I feel like that is also all editing there. Like the tension and the kind of like rise, the mood shifts like so calculatedly there. It's amazing.
All right,
Arjun,
best director.
Did you have were you gonna rank them on the list, or did you?
I've got no thoughts. I think leave it how it is. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Would you pick Bling Ring or Virgin Suicides? Because I think you're the tiebreaker. Alicia's for Virgin Suicides. I'm for Bling Ring.
But she had Bling Ring on her list, and you didn't. So I think we can give it to Bling Ring, right? I'm fine with that.
Sure,
I'll pick Bling Ring. Yeah.
All right. I do need to revisit.
I did just rave about.
I need to revisit Virgin Suicides. I'm sorry that I'm not being fair to it, because I saw it like well over a year ago, year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point. And I really resisted that film. I can't tell you why, because I don't remember it very well. So I'm sorry. I need to revisit now that I've seen all, you know, the rest of Sofia Coppola.
I mean, I love all 6 of the On the Rocks ones, like love, but it is my least favorite of those 6. I having rewatched it even a couple days ago, I don't really know why, because I think they're all brilliant. So I can't say anything bad about it, but I just love the other 5 more for some reason.
I just didn't I didn't get it. Like, I guess I just like why did you commit suicide? Like, that's
or they would have had to choose a new title if they didn't commit suicide.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
This doesn't work.
Oh my god.
We're getting there. We have 4 more awards, so 4 more Sophias to hand out. Best direction. So this one, I mean, much like cinematography, I think there's a lot. I mean, best direction is, it's going to be hard for me to distinguish between best direction and best picture, because I
Sure.
think that her best work as a director translates to it being a great film. But Arjun, it looks like you just put in your opinions in the spreadsheet. So do you want
Well, I
to?
switched it up a little bit. I was going to say Lost in Translation, but I decided to switch it to Marie Antoinette. I mean, it's a close call for me, but then I remembered that it is absolutely a directorial choice to decide that you are going to shoot off an inhumane amount of fireworks at Versailles and just put it on camera, which is like, how did nobody ever think about that? The French don't know what the fuck they're doing, because that is like one of the most brilliant things anybody has ever done. And yeah, enough said. Like, I mean, I think they're both brilliantly directed movies, and the directing is what makes those movies, because I'm not the biggest fan of either of those screenplays. But fuck, I mean, Marie Antoinette, I mean, it's going to be my best picture too. So, along with you, like, those should go hand in hand. And Lost in Translation is not one of my favorite Sofia Coppola. So, Marie Antoinette will have it because of the fireworks and because of Versailles and Kirsten Dunst.
My voting for best director, 3 is going to be Marie Antoinette, if only because I think it's incredibly directed, and also I've praised it so much in other categories, so it can be number 3. Number 2 is going to be The Bling Ring, because of the quality, as I was talking about earlier, and there's the old adage that directing is about tone management, and that film in particular was remarkable to me how many feelings it made me feel, whether it be a funny moment, whether it be a like, oh my god, are you kidding me moment, whether it's a suspenseful moment, where it's all of that weaved together super well for me. And she also directed some really interesting performances in that film that we're going to get to in the next 2 categories. But yeah, that's number 2 for me. Number 1 is Lost in Translation, because that is my favorite Sofia Coppola. The relationship between Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson's character is just so real to me, and I have to give it to Sofia Coppola for giving us that.
I think I'm gonna put Lost in Translation at number 1. Because despite my qualms with it and like my kind of lessened emotional response this time around, it is what makes it the movie it is 100%. And like, I think it changed the film landscape like a lot. I don't know, like the tone and the pace and the type of like, it's, I think at its core, like the relationship is what I'm talking about here. Like you said, tone, that's basically what it is with like the tone of this relationship, how it's, Sophia's even said like it's not romance, like at the top, it's more friendship is at the top, and then romance is kind of bubbling below, but like not even really a sexy romance. It's like a just like, yeah, a deep human connection that is like fleeting and like wonderful and sad, and I think that's really tricky to do, and she did it. And then
I feel like that, yeah, that's so hard. It's so easy to put 2 hot people and have them like be romantically interested in each other, and we're like, yeah, that makes sense, they're hot. But to have the friendship be the primary driver of their relationship, and to just have the gall to have a romantic comedy where the romance is never consummated, like, is brilliant to me.
yeah,
Are we calling Bill Murray hot in that movie?
No, we're not. That's I'll say it. I don't think Bill Murray's a hot boy.
I heard 2 hot people. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's easy to do that, and
okay, I
she
see what
didn't
you're
do it
saying.
in this one.
Yeah, I thought
fair
that's what
enough.
you're saying too. But I mean, he does have a hot
Giovanni Ribisi? Is that who you're talking about?
I mean, I get Bill Murray has like a
Oh, I
sexualness
see.
to him, I guess, you know.
Smash
But
or
I don't even
pass,
want to
Bill
call it
Murray.
like a hot personality. It's just like there's like a sex thing there.
You're
But
not
yeah,
wrong.
he's
I
not
mean,
hot.
especially in the tuxedo, like there's a
With the
little something.
eyeliner.
Yeah.
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 Okay, number dose. I'm gonna do somewhere, and I could like listen to this later and be like, what the hell? Because I have not seen somewhere for like at least like maybe 4 years. um so but like I do remember that being like very smartly handled. I feel like, I mean, with that little dialogue, it can be so easily botched and like dry as hell. But it was so it said so much without saying anything at all, and just really let its actors shine. So I'll do number 2 for that. And then 3, Marie Antoinette. I don't think I really need to expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I said this on Letterboxd. I don't think I've said it today, but I think she is probably one of the 5 best actor or directors alive right now at getting great performances out of her actors. And I think Somewhere is a great, you know, sort of representation of her direction for that exact reason. I mean, we can praise Elle Fanning all we want, but it was Sofia Coppola who got that amazing performance out of a 12-year-old in that movie. And then Stephen Dorff, who's a nobody, who I think puts in a really awesome lead performance, despite really not having that kind of baggage that a main character like that would have. Like, I really like that pick.
We were talking about it before we started recording, but
Dorff 5.
that I watched Somewhere earlier this weekend, and I want to revisit it because it's really sat well with me, whereas when I was watching it, it was not sitting well with me. And I think that has to do with that I like watched it and I had like an hour and a half time block where I was like, this is the only time I'm free to watch this. So like I was already feeling rushed, and then I got like a massive headache randomly out of nowhere while watching it. So that is not the film to be like rubbing your temples and like trying to like focus. I did not watch it in the best of circumstances. And I thought it had so many interesting things to say about gender and fame and parenthood. And my initial reaction was that she didn't package these interesting ideas in an interesting enough way and like presented it in an interesting enough way. But I truly think that a lot of that had to do with my scenario in watching it, and that if I was like really ready for a patient film like that, and I usually am, I really dig slow cinema like that. There's a chance I could love that film. So I that's another one I need to revisit.
You talking about like your headache context there. I was looking at reviews for On the Rocks today, and I saw Lucy on Letterboxd start her review saying, I got really annoying mild indigestion after watching this, and honestly I kind of blame Sofia Coppola. Which I thought was,
I saw a Letterboxd review that I want to shout out regarding Somewhere, where it was like, people have said this is like watching paint dry. Yeah, like watching paint dry on the Sistine Chapel. Top notch. I love Somewhere. Which I think I'll talk about later. I think that will, well, I don't know. I won't get ahead of myself.
Well, Lost in Translation wins our best director, but our Sophia for best director. Sorry, Arjun, you shouldn't have put it number 2.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Best leading actor in a Sofia Coppola film. This is interesting because I've said all of these are interesting, but you know, she's obviously a filmmaker who really pays attention to her female characters, but she's written some damn good male characters to boot. And so there are some, like, I think the top 5 here are that I have listed: Bill Murray in both On the Rocks and Lost in Translation, Stephen Dorff in Somewhere, Colin Farrell in The Beguiled, and Israel Broussard in The Bling Ring. For
Might be your only ones, right? Yeah.
I think, I mean, those even unless you count
Israel Broussard is like barely a lead too. Like, it's those 4 main ones.
And his performance was so confusing to me because at first while watching it, I was like, he's bad. He's a bad actor. He's not good. Like, he's bland. He's not saying these like lines with any sort of personality. Like, he's bad. And then halfway through, for no reason, I was like, he's brilliant. He's great. This is an amazing performance. And I can't point to why. Guys, the Bling Ring like dove its way into my mind and changed my brain chemistry.
The way you just described him is how I feel about like most of the performances in that movie. I'm like, oh, is this bad acting, or are you like a teenager? You know what I mean? Like, are you just a cringy teenager?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
still
him
don't
in front
really
of the
answer.
webcam. Oh, it's so good. It's so like him doing his little dance.
Yeah.
You're right. I think I'm
but
landing
a lot
on
of it
that
is.
it's good. Except Emma Watson in that, I don't think it really works. I'm not gonna lie.
I like
until
the Valley Girl accent.
She's hilarious, but it felt wrong to me, and not just because she's Emma Watson.
I felt that way until the very end, and her last little like, you can see me on this website, and I was like, this is a brilliant performance.
Yeah, that monologue is great.
But that's best leading actress. We'll get to that in a second.
We'll get to that. Yeah, I can give my top three if you want me to just start us off here. Number 3, Stephen Dorff in Somewhere. I think he's great, despite not really having any familiarity with him coming into it. Number 2, Bill Murray in Lost in Translation. We've talked plenty about that. It's an awesome performance. And number 1, I know I'm putting him in a little bit of a disadvantage because, Alicia, you haven't seen this, but Colin Farrell in The Beguiled. Colin Farrell is the best male actor that Sofia Coppola has ever worked with. And because of that, I think he gives the best performance. So I don't know. That movie is such a performance-driven movie, and him sort of being at the center of all of this web of really talented female actresses working around him. And he does so well just to bounce off of all of them. And I think his performance is the center to making that a movie that I really, really love. Colin Farrell, really good actor.
That's a good point.
I'm gonna do number 3, Stephen Dorff in Somewhere. When I first watched it, I was like, this guy is like kind of not Dane Cook and like not Sam Rockwell, and like I couldn't process his face or like who he was because I didn't know who he was. He just felt like an off-brand something. But
Chris Pratt was the one that was coming into my mind the most. It was like, I feel like I'm supposed to hate this guy because he's a Trump supporter or something.
Yeah, but he was great in that. And then number 2, I'll do Bill Murray in On the Rocks, because he balances the strengths and flaws of his character very well. And
this is the first vote for On the Rocks in this entire thing.
I guess so.
Point that out.
Also, his little musical performance in that is
Jenny Slate got a vote,
wonderful.
Right?
Oh, true. You're right.
True.
I did throw her a bone there.
And then number 1, Bill Murray in Lost in Translation.
So we do have a winner. It's Bill Murray in Lost in Translation.
I think if Alicia had seen The Beguiled, I think we might have pushed this in one direction because it was close. But
yeah,
alas.
my number 2 pick was Colin Farrell in The Beguiled. I fudged with the I had punched in the numbers wrong, so it's actually a tie between Bill Murray and Colin Farrell in The Beguiled. We're having our own little moonlight right now.
Who's announcing this right? Oh, it's Joaquin Phoenix. Fucking Joaquin. He's probably high as shit. Surprised he didn't stumble over himself talking about the environment.
Well, but it's also Warren Beatty, I guess. And and maybe
her.
Harvey.
So yeah, that's best leading actor, Colin Farrell and Bill Murray. I'm glad The Beguiled got some love. Best leading actress. I almost think that the best supporting actresses were more like, I had more like things tearing at me here.
I've got nothing tearing at me. This is so easy. Yeah.
Right. That's what I meant to say.
I agree. That's all I'm saying. Like, I think there are pretty clear top 3 for me here. But based on what we just talked about, maybe that's not the case because Emma Watson is my number 3. Kirsten Dunst is my number 2. My God, that performance is so good. And then number 1 is Scarlett Johansson, which I want to give it a little bit of love because, frankly, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, and I left out a lot of my hot takes, like about Sofia Coppola being the best filmmaker in her family, and the Godfather movies not actually being that good. But I think this is the only good performance Scarlett Johansson has ever given. Is that crazy?
I don't really like it that
Whoa.
much.
Under the Skin?
Yeah,
Oh,
Under the
okay,
Skin,
Under the
come
Skin's
on.
good. All right, Under the Skin's a good performance. Only one of two
Incredible
good
performance.
performances that Scarlett Johansson has ever given. And she's won what, the past 2 Oscars or something like that, or is it just the past one? I don't know. Whatever. I'm sorry because she just announced our last Oscar for Best Leading Actor, but I don't know. I think I want to give it some love. I probably could put Kirsten Dunst ahead of it because maybe objectively that's a better performance, but because Scarlett Johansson is the highest paid actress in the world, and this is the 1 out of 2 performances that I actually really like. But I'm curious, why don't you like the ScarJo performance? What is it for you?
I also
She's young.
like the ScarJo performance.
Wow.
For me, like, I can't tell if I'm being like sexist or something. Like it
Probably not.
feels, I don't know. Like I can do it. I've done it before.
Well, just say it. We'll cut it out if it's too bad.
Well, I mean, it doesn't feel really like a real person to me. It just feels like a character that somebody wrote that's trying to be a very like not I don't want to say manic pixie dream girl because that phrase like makes my mouth taste bad.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of nearing that territory for me, and I think that Scarlett Johansson is very talented, and I think she's great in Under the Skin. I think she's great in Marriage Story, but she has kind of like an emptiness in her eyes to me sometimes. That this is where I'm worried that I'm being sexist or something like that makes me feel weird about her in this movie and other movies, and like I think that she plays certain roles really well, but I don't think she plays this role very well. It just feels like, I mean,
isn't that her
yeah.
character though? Is someone who is rather empty and wants to fill that emptiness?
Yeah, I understand that, and like I've read it and I've considered it, but
Yeah.
it just like still like I still want her to be a person,
Sure.
It just feels like yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Manic Pixie Dream Girl is where I would go, and I mean, I don't know if this is fair to say or not. And I have a lot of problems with this script, and this is just one of them. But it almost feels like a feminized version of a prototypical male character. I mean, like it's almost shot for shot, not shot for shot, but like beat for beat, she is Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate almost. Like this sort of adrift college graduate who is very smart and attuned to the things going around her in the world, and sort of I don't know. And I think she does really well despite not loving the way that the character is written. And I think that's why I was sort of drawn to this performance, because I love the movie and it is that sort of central Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson thing that does it for me at the core of it. And I think that she is able to make that relationship work despite not having a sort of fleshed out and maybe interesting character besides being like, oh, she is a neurotic, really smart college graduate. And I don't know, I think she imbues a lot of passion into that character despite not being a character in a lot of ways. But I see what you're saying, and I think that's a really astute point, and like everything against me, considering I don't like so much about Scarlett Johansson, wants me to just hate that performance. But it seems like Kirsten Dunst might win anyways, so we can
I'm more I do want to say I'm kind of in the middle between y'all and Scarlett Johansson in that role. I think she does a fine job. I just think she gets sort of outshined by Bill Murray. And I mean, Bill Murray is like a very like the gravity of a film or of a scene that he's in will be like attracted to him, and he tends to like suck up a lot of screen presence. But I don't know. I think I agree mostly with Arjun, but I do see your points, Alicia, and that's why she's my number 3. But Emma Watson number 2, Kirsten Dunst number 1 for me.
What about you, Alicia?
Okay, this is hard. I mean, like, so Kirsten Dunst, Marie Antoinette number 1, kind of obviously, and then number 2, I might have Dunst again in Virgin Suicides. because she kind of has to play two characters, right? I mean, they all do. She has to play the romanticized version of herself and then the real teenage girl. And there is like a stark contrast between the two that is really well done on her part, and I feel like maybe it goes a little unnoticed. Number 3, I think, is this just because I have like ill will towards ScarJo and Lost in Translation? I think I'm gonna put no, because that's like I'm belittling this performance. I'm gonna go with Rashida and On the Rocks.
Yeah, good
Because
pick.
I feel like she deserves it. Like I just really liked seeing her in this role. I feel like she's such a cool person and does a lot of like is involved in a lot of really cool projects.
Mhm.
And is a good actress, but has been given some shit roles. I mean, Parks and
Yeah.
Rec, like that was just like so offensive to me that they put her in that role. But she's great in it. Like she has great comedic timing, especially kind of like volleying off of Bill Murray. So yeah.
Yeah, and similar to Dorf, what we were talking about, like she's able to, in basically her first type of big role like this, where she has to handle being the lead. I mean, she kills it. Like you couldn't ask for anything more from her, despite not really having that kind of baggage of like this is a movie star in your head, and that's so much. Like, I mean, you kind of have the same thing with Kirsten Dunst, except for Kirsten Dunst doesn't have the same kind of like screen time, especially non-dialogue screen time. And yeah, that's a great pick. I kind of wanted to choose that over Emma Watson, but might have been pushed and how much I didn't love On the Rocks. I don't know.
I forgot to mention, I love the On the Rocks scene where she's lying on her bed and the Roomba just comes into her room and starts like bouncing off the walls. I mean, it's the kind of symbolism that could be like a
Yeah.
little eye rolly, but it was really, it worked for me.
And let's bring it into Best Picture. We're coming on to 2 hours with this podcast,
Oh
so
my
maybe
God.
we might
I don't
maybe
blame
we'll
Brooke.
just we might. What if we just we can talk about this after the show. We could chop these up into 2 different podcasts even, but
we could.
Not a bad idea.
yeah, let's rank them fully for Best Picture. So
Okay.
your number 1 gets 7 points, your number 2 gets 6 points, number 3 gets 5 points, and your number.
Oh shit.
So yeah, start with your least favorite, and we'll go down.
Start talking about it while I put it in, because I did this
Yeah.
on Twitter today, earlier today, when there's a tweet prompting it. But my number 1 is Marie Antoinette. I don't need to talk anymore about that. It's one of like my 20 favorite movies ever, probably, and I love it. I watch it all the time. Number 2 is The Bling Ring. Number 3 is Somewhere. Number 4 is Lost in Translation. Number 5 is The Beguiled. Number 6 is The Virgin Suicides. And number 7 is On the Rocks. And I would say like the top 3, then 4 through 6, and then 7 all exists in kind of tiers for me. Where, man, like that top 3 of Bling Ring, Marie Antoinette, and Somewhere are just masterpieces in my mind.
One of my favorite things about finishing a director's filmography is that's when I allow myself to do a like directors ranked and letterboxed. It fills me with so much pleasure to put these in context and make a list. As of now, my number 7 is going to be Somewhere. Even though I do feel like I need to revisit it, to be fair. Virgin Suicides is my number 6. Again, need to revisit it, to be fair. Number 5. Yeah, number 5 is The Beguiled, which I also need to revisit because I saw that in theaters 3 years ago. That was the only Sofia Coppola movie that I'd seen at that time, and I barely remember it, and I need to revisit it. So now it's the 4 that I saw most recent. So maybe I'm having some recency bias. But number 4 is On the Rocks. And then in a higher tier is the top 3, which is going to be Bling Ring number 3. I want to give it number 2, but it's Marie Antoinette number 2, and it's Lost in Translation number 1. But I think that Marie Antoinette and Lost in Translation could flip flop easily, and there I wouldn't do too much of a difference for me. Alicia?
Okay. Well, maybe you guys should just like average where the Beguiled fell on your list and then like slot it in there for me. Because I feel like I would probably end up somewhere
It's the
around.
same for us. We both had it at number 5, so
Yeah.
Okay.
no worries.
Okay.
You
Well,
could do
I'll
7,
like
6, 4, 3, 2, 1.
okay. I'll just go from like bottom to top and not mention the Beguiled, and you can stick it in there. So, I'm gonna put On the Rocks at number whatever 6, 7. Because yeah, I mean it was good, but I mean she has a bunch of other really good movies. Then I'm gonna go with Somewhere, then The Bling Ring, then at number 3, Lost in Translation, number 2, Marie Antoinette, number 1, Virgin Suicides. You guys had me rethinking, but then I was like, no, stay strong. Because, I mean, Marie Antoinette, it's gorgeous. It's like, it's meticulous. It has like Ceremony by New Order. Like, I mean, it's incredible. But for me, like, the Virgin Suicides, while it doesn't have quite as much like gravitas, there's more meat on the bones. I feel like I can think about it and talk about it a lot more, and it I don't yeah, it's just a lot more thought provoking for me. Not to say that Marie Antoinette is not.
Okay, but can you imagine if it was the late 18th century and Whatever Happened by the Strokes started playing on top of your head while you laid in a palace bed? I'm just saying.
I know.
It doesn't get much better
than that. I know. It's just like, I think that Virgin Suicides as well. Wait, can I read my Letterboxd review for it real quick?
Yeah,
please
do. Yeah.
Because it's the kind of movie that like my opinion has changed on in a 500 Days of Summer-esque way, you know?
Talking
which
about
I
Manny
find like
Pixie Dream
really
Girls.
valuable. Like I think some of the best movies are ones that I've hated and then loved. Okay. This is the kind of film that grows with you. It's veiled in a pink fog, which at first seems beautiful and sweet. You don't realize how toxic the tint really is until the end, when it turns to a sickly green. I used to glamorize the Lisbon Girls and Coppola's aesthetic to no end, printing out screenshots and quotes to scotch tape to my teenage angst-ridden bedroom wall. I really did. I tried to build that aesthetic into my own life, secretly praying to be as enigmatic and whimsical, as soft and pretty as these girls. But what a tragically flat and boring existence. Thank God I realized that the hazy dreaminess I so wanted to shroud my life was actually the cage the Lisbon Girls desperately wanted out of. I was so dumb to wish to be a concept, an idea, an artificial imagining of perfection that men prefer over reality. The Lisbon sisters are never accepted for what they are, real. And so they leave the boys with what they always wanted, the mere thought of them. So yeah, I think that when I was younger, I thought it was really pretty, but I was like, is this movie pretending to be feminist, but is really just a quest for beauty? And then I, as time went on, I saw it as like a very firmly feminist movie in a way that like I hold very dear to my heart. So yeah.
I need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
And then immediately read your Letterboxd review.
And also the use of 2 songs by Heart in it are, I think, like top 10 musical moments in movies for me.
So Marie Antoinette is our best picture, with 2 second place votes from Alicia and I, and the first place from Arjun. It kind of ran away with it. Quick recap, and then we'll finish it out. Our best supporting actor is Jason Schwartzman for Marie Antoinette. Our best supporting actress is Rose Byrne for Marie Antoinette. Our best screenplay is a tie between Lost in Translation and The Bling Ring. Best production design, Marie Antoinette. Best costume design, makeup and hair, Marie Antoinette. Best soundtrack, Marie Antoinette.
Oh my God.
Best cinematography, Lost in Translation. Although it very well could have easily been Marie Antoinette. Best editing, Bling Ring. Best direction, Lost in Translation. Best leading actor, we have a tie between Bill Murray and Colin Farrell for The Beguiled and Lost in Translation. Best leading actress is Kirsten Dunst, Marie Antoinette. And best picture, Marie Antoinette. We really liked Marie Antoinette. I wish that Brooke had survived on this podcast long enough, because she seemed less positive on it when we talked about it before we started recording. So I would have been curious to hear her thoughts on it. But no more. We'll hear them off pod. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Thank you, Arjun, for leading this episode.
Do we want to talk real quick about what we've been watching, or do we want to end it? I feel like we could be quick.
My brain's so dead, but you go for it, man.
Caleb, I want to hear what you've been watching.
My list is
You go first. You go first. Come on.
All right, ready?
Also, I want to hear about the new poster behind your head. It's been 10 days. You completely changed your whole setup.
Who are you?
All right. Okay, so what I've seen since our last podcast. I watched the Greek film Apples in the Chicago International Film Festival. It was pretty good. Watched Sleepaway Camp #3. It was really bad, not even in a good way. I watched Night of the Hunter, which was really visually striking and very interesting. Liked it a lot. Watched Lost in America, which is not my favorite Albert Brooks film, but it's pretty good. Watched Social Network, which is a banger. Watched The Bling Ring, obviously, for this podcast. Watched Strutting is the Wind, which is a Chinese film, also through the Chicago International Film Fest. Very interesting movie about Chinese ennui, and also the sort of idea of being a filmmaker as a young man, but really not knowing what you're doing. Really great. I watched Borat's subsequent movie film, which was good. Fine. I had some good bits, some bad bits in there. I don't like the gross out humor. Then I watched Marie Antoinette. Great. Obviously. Somewhere. Obviously. Great. Or I need to revisit. Watched On the Rocks. And then I also watched The Wicker Man. I've watched so many things since we last spoke. So that's
the OG Wicker Man?
The OG Wicker Man. Good. Yeah. Like clunky, but good. I like
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My brain's really like just not operating right now, so I can't give any more depth.
Awesome. That was like the best part of a podcast so far. That last 20 seconds.
Yeah, Wired Caleb is fun.
That's also a Rome Open City poster. So.
That's cool. I can see like half of it, and it looks very nice.
See if I can hold on. Oh wait, no,
that didn't help.
No,
that didn't work. I was trying to like not.
Yeah, for anybody
watching,
what
were you trying to?
But.
I also watched a lot of movies. Oh, go ahead, please.
No, you go. I
watched a lot of movies. I watched a lot of movies this week, but the only ones that really stick out in my head right now, 20th Century Woman, like one of my new favorites from the past 10 years, and the 40-year-old version, which was like a great movie, kind of like half a response to Woody Allen's version of New York, and imbued with a sense of Spike Lee, and I thought it was awesome. You know, it's been a weak year for movies, and that already is rising to the top. So yeah, good movie. And 20th Century Woman slapped. 2 hour mark, guys.
I just rewatched a lot of stuff this week, really. Like the only new thing, I guess, was my roommate and I finally watched Haunting of Hill House so that we could watch Bly Manor. And like I think I'd kind of like put it on the back burner for a while because I just thought it looked very like drab and white. I don't know. But it was great. I thought it was great until the last episode. Yeah. I thought the last episode was too like soliloquy-y and like heavy-handed. But I mean, I love trauma. I love it. I love horror. It was great. And that cast is incredible, except for the guy who plays Steve. I guess he's fine. Maybe Steve's just annoying. I think the actor and the character are both annoying. But yeah, now we're on a Bly Manor. We're like 2 episodes in. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Oh, and I saw Silence of the Lambs at the drive-in, and it was
cool.
Man, that movie is really good.
It's a very good movie.
Hot
Yep.
take.
Yeah.
Wow, I think this was a good episode. I didn't, whatever. We're 2 hours in, but this is significantly
gosh.
longer than most of Sofia Coppola's movies.
Oh yeah, when I was gearing up to watch On the Rocks, I saw that like 98-minute runtime, or like maybe 108 minutes or something. No, I feel like it was less.
Yeah, it was like 90 minutes.
Okay,
like 98,
and I
I
was
think.
just like, we love to see it.
Got any good bits for this one? I'm thinking of infidelityizing. That's not a word. I'm thinking of cheating on things.
Investigating
Ooh.
things. I don't know.
Yeah, sleuthing things.
I'm thinking of getting some daddy issues.
Yeah. Yeah.